Hello and welcome to our podcast number 2.
Hello.
What was that for?
I don't know.
Hello.
I could have said hello again, but it was a bit Neil Diamond.
Well, you could have done, yes. Anyway, welcome to February's podcast. We hope you'll enjoy the second helping that we're giving to you today. We're going to do one of these probably once a month and keep it to around 20 minutes. So it's both easy for us to do, hopefully easy for us to do, and hopefully any longer than 20 minutes you might have dozed off or you won't be listening anymore.
And I think one's enough, don't you? Once a month.
Yes.
For our listeners out there.
Oh, a vote of no confidence from Lee there, I think. Anyway, welcome. We said that we would be doing one of these podcasts where we would be looking at canals and waterways and watercourses that we've seen during our travels on our walks. And the place we're looking at today is going to be the Lancaster Canal. Now, the Lancaster Canal has had a very colourful life, and it still continues to have a colourful life, you know, with bits added and bits chopped off and strange sort of additions to it. One of the things that I thought about when we were looking at doing a small series on the canals, we were just going to do a podcast where we looked at all the canals in Lancashire, but I think we would have been trying to cram too much into one particular podcast, Lee. Now, I'm aware of the Lancaster Canal because obviously it started in Preston. Or it was, you know, one end of it is in Preston, which I sort of noticed when I was growing up as a lad, because I used to frequent the canal and chuck stuff in as
Not old trolleys and that, I hope.
Well, they weren't old trolleys when they went in. They might be old trolleys now. No, I mean, canals were just sort of places that you know you went to play when I was a kid, you know. And I once lost a galosher.
A galosher?
Yes, you know what one of them is, don't you?
A welly?
No, it's not a welly. It's a black pump. That sounds even worse, something like something you use for your bike. Galoshes were like pumps you used at school for games.
Oh,
and
right,
that.
plimsolls.
Yes, okay, plimsolls. if we're going to go all Oxford Street on each other, yes, they're plimsolls. No, they were called pumps, and I remember my mum had bought me a pair of pumps. This has got nothing to do with the podcast. I'm just having a bit
He's
of a rant.
digressing.
I am. I've already gone. I've lost the theme. But my mum bought me a pair of pumps. I'll never forget it. And I was wearing them. And I'd gone for a wander along the Lancaster Canal in Preston, opposite where Shelley Road Mill is in Preston. If you're from Preston, you'll have a rough idea where that is. If you're not from Preston, you'll know where the juice is Shelley Mill. Who's Shelley? Sounds like an actress, doesn't it? I'm thinking of Shirley Winters. I don't know where I've gone with that. But anyway, listen, I was messing about on the canal, and we were playing football outside the canal, and I'd gone to kick this ball, and one of my pumps came off. Must have been it. Oh, it's all right, you laughing. I can't remember how much they weren't a lot in like
Today's money,
but back then, you know, they were new pumps. I mean, Mum had bought me them so I could do games at school. Up until that point, I think she decided on painting my feet black and lacing my toes. Because we were very poor. I'm not going in with the violin here, but we were dead poor. And anyway, I lost a pump or a plimsoll in your equation. I lost a plimsoll in the canal, and it's funny. Like now, as a grown man who can afford dozens of pairs of pumps or walking shoes, being a man of means.
Yes. Showing off now, aren't you?
Or is it a mean man? I'm not quite
No.
sure. Probably one of each. But no, whenever I'm walking down that stretch of the canal now, it always crosses my mind. It's one of them things that I'm stuck with.
Is that why I catch you longingly looking at the canal sometimes?
No, I just longingly look at the canal because I can be quite absent, really. No, I love walking at the side of canals, as do you.
Yes, they're a nice thing, aren't they?
And it's somewhat, you know, when we suddenly decided, as it was, a decision to carry on doing walks in and around Lancashire, we couldn't sort of just say, okay, we'll just keep bombing across grassy fields and public footpaths. We had to widen our idea of as to what we were going to do, really, and that included old railway lines and not working railway lines, obviously.
Well, no.
Or I would need a pair of pumps, wouldn't I?
Don't go near live railway lines,
No,
folks.
we can't stress that
Yeah.
strongly enough. Get off the line, stay off the lines, for goodness sake. But anyway, no, I think people are quite aware not to go on railway lines, you would hope. But anyway, we often go walking the old derelict railway lines along track beds and all that. And so the next step along that would be canals and walking along the side of canals. And when we sort of sat and looked about how many canals pass through Lancashire, or the Lancashire map that we work by, the pre-1974 map of Lancashire, we were surprised just how many canals just actually go through or touch Lancashire, you know what I mean? And so when we decided to do a series of canal walks, which we have, we've covered
quite a few now, haven't we?
We've done quite a lot, yeah, and a few have made the group walks. You know, if you look through our list of walks on the group, you'll notice that there are a few canal walks, including the one that we've just done last Monday, because hopefully you'll be listening to this on Friday. But last Monday's was a bit of a waltz along the old Huddersfield Narrow Canal from Diggle back to Staley Bridge.
And that was rather nice, wasn't it?
It was
Pretty
lovely.
pleasant, yeah.
Yeah, lovely walk. So the thing about canals is they're very relaxing. Anybody that walks at the side of water, I think, can't help but relax. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say that because I'm speaking for everybody, and I can't do that. But certainly myself and Lee enjoy walking by the side of canals, and they can be very photogenic as well, can't they?
They can. We've been along quite a few ones where some of the scenery you think that doesn't belong in the canal. We've been on, what was that really nice one that was like full of hills, rolling hills, and all the different colours?
Oh, I can't remember now.
Was that coming from Littleborough? Was it?
Littleborough. Oh, aye, yeah. We did a walk along the Rochdale Canal.
That was the one.
And that, of course, goes from Castlefield in Manchester right through to Sowerby Bridge, which is in Yorkshire.
Yes.
To the side at border in White Rose County.
Yes.
Country. Struggle with that then. But yeah, the Rochdale Canal is a superb canal. I mean, they're all good.
They all have their own merits, don't they?
They're all worthy of going and finding them. Please, if any of you listening are interested, there are many canals just within the Lancashire area, and the Rochdale Canal, it's surprising because you start off in the middle of Manchester in Castlefield near Deansgate. You can't imagine the kind of sights that you see further along when you're heading, past Rochdale and places like that, and then you do come to near, what was it, Littleborough?
Littleborough, yeah.
Yeah, where the canal actually reaches its own height, so you've got locks at either side bringing the level up and down, and then the highest point of the Rochdale Canal is in between Littleborough and, can't think now, what's it called? That awfully isn't me telling you about it. I forgot what it's called. But anyway, it's very hilly.
It is. It's rather lovely, I have to say, but it certainly doesn't look like it belongs in the canal.
No, I mean, when we look at the photographs that we've taken, we think to ourselves, "What the juice is this?" Because it is. It's very hilly, very ranging, and it's got fantastic views. But what we were talking about before is that one of the reasons that we liked to do the canal walks is that we're not one of these. And there are people that like to walk the length of the canal in sort of like one crazy mad
like
dash.
2 hours.
I mean, our friend Carolyn Stevenson, she's one of these ladies that she'll set off and she'll think, right, well, I'm going to walk from Lancaster to Preston or something like that.
Yeah.
And I know that Carolyn's done the the Lancaster Canal a couple of times, but where we tend to prefer these days is because we like to sort of take in and enjoy the scenery and that. And like all the walks that we do, we like to enjoy what's around. That's why Lee takes so many pictures, not only for something for us to look at in our dotage.
Yes.
But also something to pass on and show you guys that are in the group, and you might want to do some of the walks that we've done, and it give you an idea of what you can see as you're travelling along. What I'm getting to is that I think me and Lee have sort of like we've pulled in the lengths of walks that we do now. We've done, big ones, 14, 16 mile and all sorts of things like that. But what we tend to do now, because we're getting old, aren't we, Gil?
Oh, we are.
Oh, we are. What we tend to do now is sort of like we'll aim around the 5 to 7 mile length if in most of the walks that we do now. Because you've got to remember as well, not only do we do the walks and Lee takes the pictures, but then I've got to write them up. So if you're trying to write up a 16-mile walk, it can be quite demanding, rather than something that's like 5 to 7 miles in length or in a circular walk. I can usually find something to write about.
Yeah. Plus, you can get a few walks out of it, can't you?
Yes, you can.
You can break it down that way.
I suppose if you want to make a bit of a mad dash along the canal, you can get your head down and do 20 miles, however many it is, from Preston to Lancaster. But I suppose if you say 20 or 21 miles, then you could break that down into 3 7-mile walks, couldn't you?
Which are manageable, yeah.
And it also gives you more options to go and enjoy the canal, because I think I mentioned this last time. I think, and I could be wrong, and I probably am, that when people do a long walk, they're trying to be focused because they're thinking, right, I'm going to do whatever mileage we're going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whereas me and you, if we think, okay, we're going to do 5, 7 mile, then we can think, we can take in the scenery around us and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
That's some people's thing, isn't it? Is to blitz it all in one go, and they've got a goal, haven't they? And they set themselves at and off they pop. But I like it to be a bit more leisurely. Pace yourself a little. Well, that's us personally.
Well, we've got to pace ourselves now.
Well, yeah,
we?
Yeah.
All our best years are behind. They're behind us now, aren't they? Really? When I think about it, mine certainly are. I'm approaching a certain age.
Well,
but no, it's this thing that you think, if you've got your head down and you're going, are you really taking in what's around you? Whereas if you're doing a shortish walk, however that is, whether it's 1 mile, 3 mile, 7 mile, it gives you a bit more time to look around you. And for us, that's the most enjoyable part of our walks recently, or probably certainly over the last 2 years, that because we've sort of cut back in the sort of distances we do, not only does it allow you to stand there like David Bailey taking loads of wonderful pictures, but it means you can just stop and just look what's around you.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, because even now when people do some of our walks, or if people do the walks that we've done and they send pictures in, I think to myself, well, where's I didn't see that? So it just goes to show.
Oh yeah, you can miss stuff, can't you?
I'm still missing stuff, whether it's my eyesight or not, I don't know. But after that long-winded rant, the Lancaster Canal. Now, as I say, it's in my bones as a kid, because it was something that was always there. It had already been truncated to where it actually is and where it actually starts on Aqueduct Street in Preston now. The Lancaster Canal used to run right through into the centre of Preston, because originally it was built to travel from Kendal to Wigan as a source of transporting, I suppose, limestone down to Wigan and the areas down there, and then of course getting coal from the coal fields in Wigan up to Lancaster, Kendal, places like that. And there was fantastic ideas as to what the Lancaster Canal was going to look like. And it's amazing now when you think that it's over 200 years old, you know, and they started building it in the 1790s. I'm not going to start throwing dates and names at you because I'm not really a date and names person, really. I forget how to tie my own shoelaces most of the time. But I've never been overly good with, you know, such and such a body was born in such and such a year, or this is such and such a distance. So I suppose this is just our observation of what we saw and what we got on our journey, or journeys, as I should say, along the Lancaster Canal. Because it must have taken probably 7 or 8 different walks to cover the whole canal, because we chose to do it in that way. And not only that, we walked it north and south, not the length of the canal, but the sections that we walked of the Lancaster Canal. We would have the canal on the right hand side of us on some walks, and on other occasions we'd be coming south. So we didn't do the canal sort of like with the water on our right hand side all the way. And it's weird because, like, we have since walked down several stretches of the canal on different walks, and when you're walking opposite to the way you've already walked it, you sort of see it in a different way.
It looks different, strangely. I know it's still the same canal, but it has a different perspective about it.
I suppose you're right in that aspect, really. But like I said, it was built over 200 years ago, and it really was built at the birth of canals, when they were the way of transporting things. I mean, now they're a thing of leisure, aren't they? And quite right too.
Nice little canal boats pootling about on them, you know.
There's a lot of people get a lot of pleasure travelling on all the canals up and down the country.
It's nice to see them being used, you know, for that purpose now.
Yeah, and especially in this time of where we've been in lockdown and because of COVID-19, and they still allow you to get out there and do maybe. I mean, you only need to go out and do a couple of bridges, because the one thing about the Lancaster Canal is there are hardly any locks, and the locks that they are based. You've got a couple of locks, I think, near the Millennium Link in Preston, which takes the Lancaster Canal down to the River Ribble.
Yes,
it does. That was, I think, if memory serves me right, it was 2002 when the Ribble Link was opened. So that was like a new addition, because up until then you just had you had the canal which ran up, and I think the first time you could leave the canal or leave the main stretch was when you got to Glasson Dock.
Oh, right. Well,
or the Glasson Dock Arm, as it is, just before Lancaster. But in 2002, there was cause to create what is the Millennium Link while you're still in Preston, and that will take you down to the River Ribble. And again, you can go across the River Ribble and head in towards Taunton and go through the gates at Taunton, and you can reconnect with the Leeds-Liverpool Canal, and then join up with the Rufford branch, and that'll take you up to the Leeds-Liverpool Canal. But the thing about the canal, as I said, and as we keep stressing, is it's given us so many wonderful walks, and it's given us so many wonderful memories as well. We've made some wonderful memories walking up and down the canal. And as I was saying to you about the locks, what happened was, at Chewitfield, which is beyond Carnforth, heading towards Kendal, the canal had to lift itself, and I'm not sure off the top of my head how many locks there were, but I know that it had to gain a lot of height in a very short space of time. And that stretch of the canal now, it's called the Northern Reaches, and we walk that stretch, as I say, in a couple of directions. And it's just when you see the fact where the locks have been, because the lock gates have all been removed from the flight of locks on the canal near Chewitfield, and there's a set of gates, isn't there?
There is,
at the top of the steps of the locks, and they've got a plaque on them, which I think I featured the other day on our group. And so many wonderful things to see when you walk along the Lancaster Canal, like when you walk along most of the canals. But the thing about the Lancaster Canal is it just has that set of locks there. So you can go all the way from, I think, Preston to Chewitfield without actually having to go up or through a lock. Because what happened was the Lancaster Canal, unlike many of the other canals, goes with the lay of the land rather than lifting itself to different levels, which is what you get with canals. What I think has actually happened is that when the original survey was done, because myself personally, I can never quite understand how the canals can go the way they do, and the Lancaster Canal is one of those canals that when it's left Preston, it's on its way to Kirkham before it even decides to take a right turn and then up through Solwick, and then we're heading back in some kind of direction, heading towards Garstang and things like that, Billsborough and Garstang. So if you look at the map of the canal, you sort of wish the Romans had made it, didn't you, really?
Yeah, because it does go out in a real wild kind of like curve, doesn't it, before it comes back in?
Yeah, there's a little place called Newsham, which is to the side of Broughton, heading towards Lancaster. And if you look at a map of the Lancaster Canal, as I say, after you leave Preston, you head off, you go to your left and you head off Salwick way, heading towards Kirkham, and then you take a right, and then you take another right, and you think to yourself, I'm sure the canals were built for a purpose, or maybe whoever did the original design for the canal just followed the lay of the land.
Yeah.
But I probably think that's what they did, because I say if you look at the Leeds-Liverpool Canal and so many of the others, the canal had to lift or drop so many times. Hence the reason for the locks, you know. But the Lancaster Canal, as I say, you can get in a narrowboat in Preston, and you can travel all the way to Chewitfield without actually having to go through a lock. And the amazing sights you'll see along the way. I mean, the Loon Viaduct at Lancaster.
That's beautiful there.
By John Rennie. I think John Rennie was the designer of the Loon Aqueduct, and then it's a wonderful thing. And you think that's over 200 years old, in the days when they used to actually build stuff that meant something.
Yeah.
You know, it had a real purpose to itself. But also, as I say, one of the things I think, if it is a criticism, and I don't mean to criticise the Canal and Rivers Trust, because they do a fantastic job. I think one of the things about the Lancaster Canal is the towpath. In some places, leaves a lot to be desired, doesn't it?
Yeah, there is a patch where we went, and it was really... We wondered why we hadn't seen anybody on it, to be honest with you. And then we realised why we hadn't seen anybody on it, because it was it was covered in mud, and it was awful.
Yeah, I mean...
but it's wear and tear, isn't it?
You know yourself, a lot of the towpaths on most of the canals, in and around autumn, winter, you know, they can get a bit slutchy and muddy and all that sort of thing. But the Lancaster Canal, I mean, there were some stretches at Boltonley Sands and S Bank and things like that. And they're beautiful. I mean, the paths, the walkways, they're very well laid out. Even up to Coinford and places like that, it's all laid out very, very well. But round about the Garstang area, coming back to Billsborough, heading south, the towpath leaves a lot to be desired. So if you're going to do the walk, just watch yourself along those stretches, because it can be a bit muddy. Finally, because we're going to wind it up here, I'll look at the Lancaster Canal. It's a really good walk. We walked from Kendal back down to Holme, which is spelled Holme. Just to the side of Fulton Knott, which is a wonderful thing. Big, massive hill and crater. Not crater, is it? Big hill near the village of Holme. And it's just, you've got to see it to believe it. It runs at the side of the M6. The thing about the canal, the Lancaster Canal, is it has the M6 running, or the A6 and the M6, both run a lot of the way at the side of the canal, along with the West Coast main line, railway line as well. But the stretch we did when we walked from Kendal, we walked back from Kendal towards home, and the strangest thing of actually walking through a field and seeing a canal bridge.
Yeah, and
in a field.
Part of a towpath, wasn't it, as well? Or the edge of the canal.
It's quite surreal. I mean,
yeah.
I think I'd seen pictures in books of this field where there was a canal bridge, but up until you're seeing it yourself, when you see this thing where you're walking across this farm, it's like a field, it's like a normal field, and all of a sudden there's a canal bridge in the middle of the field.
Yes.
Which is obviously was where the canal was. So it's probably kept its thing, its shape and everything, but they've left it there, and in some respects it's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there are some highlights between Kendal and heading back down towards Chewitfield, coming south. There's the Lancaster tunnel as well.
That was another nice one, wasn't it?
Which
it's just there was quite a lot to see in that. It was tiring, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But we did do it in a very hot day.
Yes, we did. We're one of the hottest days of the year.
Yeah, we had unusually strange weather for an April time, I think we did it.
I think we did 12 miles that day.
Yeah.
And a very hot sunny day, which was very draining, but it was just wonderful.
It was stunning, that.
I think you walked through Sedberg as well. There's a lovely aqueduct there.
Yeah.
Some of the canal on the northern reaches south of Kendal is still in water, so it still contains some small stretches of water. But like I said, there are some areas where the canal has actually disappeared altogether. But you find these like we said, bridges, a canal bridge in the middle of a field or something like that, or the Lancaster tunnel, where there's a lovely horse walkway as well.
There is, yeah.
There's a little passageway. Because obviously you can't walk through the Lancaster tunnel because there's no towpath. But there's a path you can follow where the horses used to go. And there's a lovely little walkway which was made just for the horses to walk at the side of the Lancaster tunnel and come out at the other end. Now, when we were doing that walk, they were working on the canal up in the northern reaches, because there is a plan to open up the northern reaches of the Lancaster Canal again. Whether it's a step too far, I don't know. As I say, there are some lovely parts of it still in water, higher up in the canal going towards Kendal. But whether they'll be able to ever open up the northern reaches again, I don't know. It's a massive job. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you for listening to our second podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed having a listen to us, and we've tried to...
Yeah, I found out about a bit of information about the canals, or the Lancaster Canal.
Many of you will have walked the Lancaster Canal, all of it, or sections of it. We advocate, if there's any canals anywhere near you, go and stretch your legs if you can. Go and have a bit of a walk. They're always nice to walk alongside of. One or two are a bit challenging over in the East Lancashire on the Leeds-Liverpool, where you very well may see a three-piece suite passing you by.
What do you mean you very well may? You will see a three-piece. And there might be somebody sitting on it.
You're being a little bit silly there now, Lee. I think you're stretching people's imagination. Anyway, all we're saying is that canal walks, we'd recommend them. If you can do any of the local canal walks in your area, within the Lancashire area, which we cover anyway, please do. We've done most of them. I think we've only got the Ashton Canal in Manchester, which runs between Manchester and Ashton on the line to do, and we've got the Ulverston Canal, which is just like a single stretch of 1 mile canal from the centre of Ulverston. It comes out, opens into Morecambe Bay, basically, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So there's a lock gate at the end of this 1 mile stretch in Ulverston, and it just drops it out into Morecambe Bay there. So we've got to go along and discover that one yet. So we're hoping to do that one over the next couple of years. Anyway, thank you for joining us on today's podcast. We'll hope to catch up with you maybe at the end of March, when maybe some of the restrictions may have been...
lifted.
We may be able to get out and get out with a bit more fresh air and maybe do a little bit of travelling. We've all still got to stay safe and watch what we do, and good luck to all those people who've had the vaccine. And we're not here to tell people what to do one way or another, but anything that will help us back into some kind of normality,
It's a good thing.
It is a good thing. So thanks again for listening. We hope you've had a smile, or even a bit of a laugh listening to us. It's nonsense, really, at the end of the day, but it's sort of nonsense.
Yeah.
So until probably the end of March, thanks for listening in, and we'll catch up with you next time. From myself and from Lee,
It's bye for now.
bye for now.